This conversation needs to happen because we need to stop comparing autism parent burnout to any other form of burnout. It is not comparable. It's not even comparable to a regular parent burnout. And so this is what this episode will be about today. Going to go over what it actually is, what it represents, what causes it, and more specifically, how we can truly support these parents without going on with our ignorant opinions and unsolicited advice. That's what we're going to talk about today. For those who don't know me, my name is Danielle C. Baker. I am the founder and CVO of Being Connected, and I'm also a registered early childhood educator with over 20 years experience in the field. I do help parents and educators navigate the realities of what parenting is today, but don't get it twisted. When you work with me, we're putting the child's needs first. So we're going to have to put our pride and ego aside, and let's get to it. Well, hello there. Welcome to the Talk to Danielle podcast. I am your host, Danielle C. Baker. And before we get started, be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to whichever channel you're listening or watching from. And of course, this is season 4, so I do invite you to have a look at the previous 3 seasons. There may be some topics there that resonate with your reality today. They are timeless episodes, so go ahead and have a look. And we're going to jump right in with this very important topic, autism parent burnout. And I guess the first thing that we're going to need to talk about is really why we can't downplay this, because it is getting worse and worse. And we're talking about a very underserved community here, and there's so much more involved with it. So we have to understand that this autism parent burnout is not comparable to any other form of burnout. It's not even comparable to a caregiver burnout. So we're talking about a very severe form of chronic stress that stems from intense physical, mental, and emotional exhaustion for constantly and continuously caring for an autistic child. So we're talking about something that's around the clock. There is no rest. There is no consistency. And so it's this chronic, when we say chronic stress, it goes beyond that. And even more than that, it also involves social isolation. It involves increased anxiety. It involves the feeling like you're trapped because you're not able to reach out. People don't really understand what's going on with you. And because these parents are just solicited with ignorant comments, ignorant advice, they just shut down. What's the point, right? This is just my reality and I'm going to deal with it. So we have to understand and we have to recognize that this is exceeding the stress level of any other form of caregiver. We have to have these conversations. Autism parents have an immense amount of stress that any other caregiver will not go through. That's a hard pill to swallow for some, but for any autism parent out there, I know you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about, are those who are close to and are there to actually support an autism parent. You will understand exactly what I mean about that. I think I'll start first in order to help reach the autism parents who think they're the only ones going through this, that really feel alone, that they're in that severe isolation phase of their lives and they're at their breaking point. There are some signs that will pop up before you get to that level. And this is also important for the partners or the family to keep an eye out. If you truly care for your partner or your family member that's going through this, there should be some support there that you can provide. And so you need to look out for those signs. When you are in that environment where you're constantly going through this mental and physical and emotional whirlwind, you're not seeing it. You're not looking at the bigger picture. You're just trying to survive the day and sometimes just to survive the hour. And so you're not going to see it, but there are some signs that you are or you have reached that burnout point as an autism parent, I am going to start with the physical and emotional exhaustion. This is one of the first things. I know parents are always tired, parents are all worn out, but when it comes to an autism parent, it goes even beyond that. So now we have, like, I can't explain the extreme fatigue doesn't do it justice, but it's just this invasive and pervasive, if I can say, if that's a word, fatigue, that no amount of rest and no amount of pep talk or no amount of my child has had a great day can get you out of. So this is this really heavy fatigue. You will go through insomnia, not just because maybe your child is sleep patterns are disrupted, but just when the child actually is sleeping, you're still not going to be able to sleep because your mind is going 24/7. It just won't stop. And you will also just get emotionally numb. So no matter what throws at you, whatever judgment people are throwing at you, whatever comments you're getting from the school, from random parents at the park, from all the stares that you're getting when you're out in public with your child, from your own family and your own partner, you will numb. It's just, it is what it is, right? And you're going to start accepting that as your reality. So those are huge signs that you're going through that burnout. And it is important for you to get support at that point. Unfortunately, most of the great support that you will get will be from strangers. We tend to lean on our loved ones or our friends or our immediate social circles. But the reality is that's probably not where you're going to get the support that you need. And that's another blow to your already burnt out state. So that is mostly on the physical and emotional side of things with the exhaustion. There's so much more I can add, but I'll move on to the next one. And that one is this increased anxiety and increased irritability. And you're going to notice that your tolerance is getting lower and lower and lower. You're more frequently frustrated. That will happen as well. And you'll just have that anxiety that just is nonstop now. It's constant. Uh, and you might not feel like anxiety because now it's become normal to you, but somebody looking from the outside is going to see that you are showing some severe signs of anxiety. You're just like, oh, this is normal. This is me now, right? So those will be signs as well that you're going through that burnout. You need to get that support that you need. One of the biggest signs of that burnout is the social withdrawal when you start to retreat, when you're just kind of giving up on the idea that you might find somebody who can support you. So you're going to start withdrawing. So you're going to avoid friends and family. Most of the time, it's just because it is going to be too much of a hassle for them, or you want to protect your child and you don't want people to judge your child for their behaviors. Or you also know that your friends and family may be the ones that will trigger behaviors in your child that you just don't need to go through right now. And again, don't want the judgment, the opinions, and everything that's been thrown at you, the expectations from you, and so everything that they're doing out of love, if I could say, or out of concern or out of care, is just too much for you. So you're just gonna cancel on the family plans and the friend plans. You're also going to feel isolated or unsupported, and that's why you're going to keep withdrawing from your social circle, because it really is the last thing that an autism parent need to hear is, oh, you'll get through it, you got this, you're a strong person. That's the last thing they need to hear. So you're going to feel isolated. You're really going to feel like you're not supported, but that's because you're looking for support in people that are not capable of giving you that support. So this is a message, and I'll explain it a little bit later on, but I do want to explain in this situation that the support is there. You just need to look in the right place. And unfortunately, not all the time. We do have some great family circles. We do have some great friend circles. But unfortunately, most of the time, it's not going to come from your loved ones. It's going to come from complete strangers. So start accepting that you're going to need to go where people understand exactly what your reality is. I think one of the most overlooked sign of autism parent burnout is the reduced functional abilities because your system is completely shutting down. You're struggling with daily tasks, and now you're just beating yourself up more because of it. Because you're like, what's wrong with me? I can usually do this no problem, but you're struggling now. Everything is heavy, everything is a struggle, everything is a burden. So that's going to take a toll on you, especially emotionally and mentally. Uh, Decision making is going to become more and more difficult. Your nervous system is in constant survival mode, um, nonstop, all the time, coming from all directions. So, decision making is easy stuff like, what are we going to have for dinner? I don't want to think about that right now, right? Uh, I know some of the autism parents I work with are going to relate to this completely, but decision making is definitely something that goes out the door when you're in that burnout phase. You're going to get also increased forgetfulness, and you're going to think there's something wrong with you, but it really is just a symptom because your nervous system is overloaded, because your mind and your brain is constantly going, constantly looking for cues, constantly looking for possible triggers. You're so hyper aware of everything that's going on around you and around your family and around your home and around everything that you don't have time to remember where you put the keys 5 minutes ago. You're not going to remember that your laundry's in the dryer. So those are the kind of things that are going to come up more frequently when you get to that burnout stage. And the one other most important sign is the guilt and the shame of the person you've become or the parent that you see yourself as being. You will start feeling like a failure, like what's wrong with me? Why am I like this? Why can't I help my child? Why can't I get the support that I need? So you do get, unfortunately, will get that feeling of failure. Um, and then, of course, the self blame. What did I do for my child to go through this? Unfortunately, a lot of people's opinions, a lot of people that are there to support you will tell you that it basically is your fault, whether it is what you were doing when you were pregnant with the child or what you're doing with the child afterwards, or just flat out telling you that you're just a soft parent and your child just needs more discipline, more structure. You're going to start believing that sometimes. And because of, the functional ability problem that I mentioned earlier, you're going to start feeling that maybe it is your fault. And that is the worst place to be. And again, when it comes from your loved ones or your close ones, it hits even harder. So those are the very basic signs. Again, it's just so intense and chronic. It's continuous from the time the child is born. You're going to start feeling this. It adds up very quickly. So it's important for you to get that support. Knowing the signs of autism parent burnout helps, but knowing what causes it helps even more because then we can prevent it or you can seek help or support a lot faster. So I'm going to go through what some of the causes. Again, they're very vague. I'm going to go through some in details, but there's a lot of information out there. Or if you want to write it in a comment, if you want to know more about it, I could definitely do another episode on that. But I just wanted to introduce this conversation right now with this one. Uh, so what can cause it is this chronic stress and demands that you're going through on a regular basis, not even by day, but by the hour, by the minute. It just never ends. So that's this continuous caregiving. It's not going to get better as the child gets more independent. This is what people don't realize is being a parent is demanding. Caring for a child is demanding. But as the child grows and develops, you are able to breathe a little bit more later on. When it comes to an autism parent, that doesn't happen necessarily, not all the time. And sometimes it can get worse as they get older. It's continuous demand. You need to be 100% every time, and it's not possible, right? So that will definitely be a cause of the burnout, just that alone. The other thing is the lack of support. I mentioned that already, but as an autism parent, I mentioned in the introduction that we're talking about an underserved community here. you get inadequate practical and emotional support from family, friends, and even some services, unfortunately. And so this will take a toll on you when you're actually seeking out help and support from services, and they are unable to provide it for you. You're done for the the process that you're going through saying, I'm really alone to do this. It's devastating. So that will take a toll on you in the long run. There is, of course, the social stigma as well when it comes to the lack of support side of it. Uh, so this constant experiences of being judged, right? It doesn't have to be verbal. You just see it at the park, how parents are going to judge, other parents are going to judge you, how the school is judging you, how your family is judging you. And unfortunately, for many, it's also the partner. So the other parent is also judging you because you're advocating for your child, because you're fighting for your child. And that can be devastating. Again, that alone can create that burnout that you don't want to. There's also this misunderstanding from others. So many unfounded and unproven evidence, if I could say evidence, but theories about the origin of autism and what causes it and how it comes on and all of that, that you're just being bombarded with all of this misinformation and you're so mentally drained and emotionally drained that you just can't cope with that. You can't just block that noise out anymore. So it will take a toll on you. So that all leads to isolation. This is why autism parents isolate. When you see a friend or a loved one who has an autistic child, to start isolating, that is just a first sign, one of the major signs that it's time to get support for them. It's time to show up differently for them so that you're actually supporting them. So for the sake of this episode, I thought I'd do a little bit more research on strategies, management, or even preventions that could help autism parents to pull themselves out of burnout or to avoid burnout. And I'll be honest with you, it's what I found, and I did quite a bit of research. What I found from my experiences is not realistic at all. So we're going back to this inadequate support, right? Uh, so what I am going to still tell you what is out there in terms of information and resources, but I will tell you from my experiences professionally and personally, these tactics, these strategies, these preventions are not realistic until we can actually provide adequate support for autism parents. So the first thing that came up was prioritizing self-care. I'm not even going to elaborate on that. That's not going to happen. But I will say, if you are close to an autism parent, whether you're family, a partner, friends, maybe you could allow them to find 2 minutes in their time to have a little bit of time alone. Take a quick shower, just breathe, get a glass of water. That could help. But that's as far as it's going to go. So self-care, when I first read this, I just rolled my eyes. I'm going, oh, okay, that's where we're still at right now. You cannot prioritize self-care as an autism parent if you can't even help your child in the way that you want to. So let's get that vocabulary out of the autism parent world until we can show up for them as a community to support them adequately. Now, one of the ones that made a bit more sense to me was to seek support. That is possible. You need to get into the autism community. You can't go into the neurotypical communities because that's where you're going to get all the judgment and the misinformation. But in going into autism communities, you need to be careful as well because you can get caught into that victim mentality side of things, where now we're just talking about our problems and complaining about our realities, which is necessary, but you also need to be talking about what kind of support you need and how can we support each other. So if you find yourself in a chat group or in a community group where everybody just complains about everything, but nobody talks about, okay, how can we help you to make this easier? That's not the group for you. You need somebody that will, or a group or a community that is still going to hear you when you need to vent, because that needs to happen, but is also there to make things easier for you. The support needs to be there. So if we're just complaining, it's just a bitch fest, we're all victims. It's understandable, but that's not where you want to be mentally when you're facing an autism parent burnout. So what you really want is genuine support, not a pity party, because that's not going to get you anywhere. Another thing that you can do in terms of management and strategies is to really ask for help. I mentioned a lot in this episode that your loved ones may not be there to help you, but there's many people in your circle right now that would want to help. They just don't know how. So they don't want to add burden to you. They see that you're struggling. They see that you need help. They just really don't know where or how. So sometimes they're just waiting for you to ask. And as an autism parent, it's hard for us to ask. We don't want to be a burden. We don't want to bring people into that world. We know how exhausting it is. And so asking for help, sometimes you'll be surprised who's going to show up for you. It's just that they're waiting for you out of respect for your space. They will wait until you come up and ask. Another one that's also very important is to set boundaries. This will help a lot for your mental health, is learn to say no. You're allowed to say no for certain things, especially when it comes to your social circles. Like I mentioned earlier, saying no to certain things, saying no to certain recommendations. Uh, it is okay to say no, and you shouldn't feel guilty about it. You're doing this for the best interest of your child and for yourself. Prioritize tasks. You're not going to be able to do everything that you want to do in a day. We just know that's not going to happen. So if you can at least start your day to say, what's one thing I want to accomplish today that I could do? And if you can't, find yourself, go small on this. All right. Don't think you're going to be waxing the floors. All right. But think of something small, like, okay, maybe I could just fold 2 t-shirts from the clean laundry basket and start from there. At least you're experiencing a win in your day, and that can be done any time of the day. So if you were planning on doing it in the morning and you can't, you know that for 2 t-shirts, you might be able to do it at lunchtime or at the end of the day. So learn to prioritize your tasks. The minute tasks will be set aside. That's okay. Your mental health is important because you need to be there to support your child as well. I think in terms of setting boundaries, one of the things that will really help you is pay attention to the reactions of the people around you when you ask them for help. You will be surprised um, from their reaction or their excuses or their comments that will really tell you where you need to declutter in your social circles, in your environment, and the people that are surrounding you. You don't want the people that will drain you even more in your corner when you're going through this. So you need somebody that will uplift you. You need people who will uplift you. So pay attention when you do ask for help. If who's showing up for you for real. And whoever doesn't, refer back to learn to say no and say thanks, but no thanks. I want to finish this episode by speaking to the people who are around autism parents. So family members, partners. Uh, I know when I say partners, I understand that there are also autism parents, but in my experience working with families, it was often just the one parent that would take on the responsibility of raising the autistic child. So the other partner can be around, but they're not all there, and they're not sharing the burden and the stress. So this is what I mean when your partner is kind of taking the back seat to the whole process. Uh, yes, they are autism parents, but they're not the ones who are going to go through the burnout. So when you know you have a friend or a family member or a parent, if you're a teacher, and then these are some tips for you to know how you can help them. How can you provide the proper support for them? I think one of the first things that's very important to understand is this is no ordinary caregiver burnout. Whatever they're going through right now is not comparable to a regular burnout. It's not comparable to somebody who's taking care of their aging parents, or caring for people who are terminally ill. Sorry. So that alone will help you a lot in how you're going to show up for that person and how to prevent you from making those ignorant comments or sharing these ignorant opinions when it comes to autism. One of the best way that you can show up for your friend or your family member or the parents from your class is to offer support where you will reduce the cognitive load or sensory input. So you want to help in alleviating this person from having to make decisions all the time, like these little minute decisions, like uh, what coat should the child wear today, or what are we having for dinner, or should we go to this restaurant or that restaurant, or what do you think we should do for the birthdays? Those kind of things is just piling on this mental load that all parents carry is added and is on steroids when it comes to autism parents. So if you can reduce that cognitive load as a teacher, if you can offer some support in a way that instead of saying, uh, how can you help us get this behavior under control in class, you could maybe just offer them, okay, these are strategies that work in the classroom. This is exactly step by step how we do them. Would you like me to share that with you so you also implement that in the house? So you're not having the parents search for their own stuff, or offer them support in terms of, I know about these services are available. This is the number. This is the website, because they're not going to be able or capable of looking that up for themselves. So giving them the information, say, if you want me to call for an appointment for you, let me know. So that will be it. You, as a friend, you can come in and say, hey, which load of laundry would you like me to throw in the washing machine right now? Okay, do you want me to clean up this basket? Swiping down the counters in the kitchen, putting away, unloading the dishwasher. Even if they feel bad or they feel ashamed of it, you say, listen, I'm your friend when we're not doing this, right? That's the difference between a friend, and then just a social acquaintance, right? So no, 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 we're not doing this. You sit down, you manage this. This is nothing. I can do this. Help him that way. Sensory input is just the extra noise, right? So let's turn down the lights a little bit. Let's turn down the noise a little bit. Find ways that you could help them, that you're not just overstimulating them even more, because their nervous system is on the brink of snapping. So you want to take that to that lower level, and that's one of the best ways that you can help. Say it again, don't offer advice ever, ever, unless they actually come to you and say, what do you think about this? I don't know what to do. Do I do this? Do I do that? You don't need to give them the answer, but yes, you can give them your input, guide them through, help them make the decision. Don't give the advice. It's the last thing they need to hear right now. Believe me when I tell you that autism parents have gone through all of those judgments and worse internally. So whatever it is that you're saying, they've beaten themselves up a lot more. They don't need that from you. So no advice. No advice. No advice. Okay? No advice. Another thing you could do is encourage professional support. Again, you don't want to be saying, you know what, I think you need help, like professional help. That's the last thing they need to hear, okay? But you could say, man, this is really intense. I heard about this services that you could have that would make it so much easier. I've heard about another parent who's gone through it and it was so helpful to them. If they keep coming to you to dump uh, all of their stress on you as a friend, yes, you can take it, but when you want to encourage to get the professional support that they need, one thing that you can say is, man, I really wish I could help you more with this, but that is I don't have the capacity for that. But I know a place that that will be able to help you with that and support them through that. It is very hard for autism parents to look for help on the outside. They don't want to be judged. They don't want their child to be judged. So they don't want to have to fight for their child's rights as well, or their rights as a parent. So if you can guide them to a, a well-reputed place where they can get the help, uh, it will help that parent to make that decision. When I talked about self-care earlier, just saying it's such a ridiculous thing to add as a strategy to avoid autism parent burnout. What you could do as a friend or a loved one of those parents is to encourage micro self-care. And that's what I work with from my book with these micro wins. When you go into the micro self-care, we're not talking about a day at the spa. This person is not going to be able to take a day off, but just to say, hey, uh, why don't you go take a shower? I got this for a minute, right? Or just go in the kitchen and have a glass of water. I got this. Or, just walk and go get the mail outside and come back. I got this. This will help them just a minute, 2 minutes, start with that, even if it's just per week to start, but just to get them to realize that, yes, it is important for me to take care of myself because that's the best way that I can show up for my child. So encourage micro self-care. Don't invite your friend to a day at the spa or get your nails done and be gone for 3, 4 hours. Going out for coffee again, it's nerve-wracking for an autism parent because they're going to be out for at least a couple of hours and they don't know what they're going to walk into. So look for alternatives where you can support them and give them these little bits throughout the week or throughout the month where they could take a minute or two to breathe. That will be a lot more successful than booking a day at the salon. So you want to be looking for short, manageable breaks, like even if it's just like go in the car, listen to your favorite song or two, right? Or go for a 10-minute walk if they can go. When I was saying micro, we were talking 1 minute, 2 minutes. You'd be surprised at how many parents are not even able to get themselves a minute or two to take a break. So once you start seeing that becoming a bit more fluent in their day to day or throughout the week, then encourage those manageable, smaller breaks, like go listen to a song, go move around, sing at the top of your lungs in the car, and then come back, just so that they can release some of that tension. It is also a very important to watch for crisis sign because the burnout is very intense, but you don't want it to go even further than that. So I do invite you to have a look at what these crisis signs are, where now you do need to step in, make a call to be able to support that parent and the family. So it's very important in all of this, not to downplay the crisis sign. Is very important. Another way that you can help it sounds counterproductive, but you need to respect their need to isolate. Sometimes that's what a person is going to need. I do appreciate the help. I love that you came to the house and vacuumed the rug. But right now I need time to myself. I need time to breathe. I need time to go into hermit mode. It is important to respect that. As long again, when I was talking about the crisis signs, you want to make sure that we're not falling into a deep depression. But sometimes parents just need that quiet time. When I was talking about reducing sensory input, that includes sometimes just staying home, the curtains drawn, and just watch a movie, and by ourselves and not have to engage in conversations. So it is important to be able to give them that space when they ask for it. One of the best things that you can do as well is proactive check-ins. Don't wait for them to contact you. They're the last thing they're going to remember is to text you, or they're going to feel guilty that they haven't texted you. So I'm not saying to blow up their phones, but a weekly text to say, hey, just checking in. How you doing? Have you had a shower today? No, just joking. But those, be proactive with the check-ins without being overwhelming. Do check in. The parents will appreciate that. They may feel a little guilty at first that, oh my God, they're the ones checking in on me. I can't even, I completely forgot to call them back or text them back or email them back, whichever way you're communicating. But checking in like that once in a while, it means a lot to that parent. So make sure that you do check in. Don't wait for them to contact you all the time. I want to close off when I'm talking about getting support from services or professional support. I do want to make a note, and I think it's also another conversation that we need to start having, is that there needs to be proper training on autism cases. We're dealing with situations that can escalate rather quickly. And many times it's the people that are coming in for an intervention that are triggering these meltdowns, that are triggering these challenging situations. So it is so important. I have seen situations when we're talking about uh, the police force, um, some of the crisis helplines, some of the caseworkers as well, where they come in uh, and not taking the time to understand what could trigger the child and what will trigger the family and the consequences of that. And so yes, we do have services available, but many of them are services from people who haven't had proper training in managing autistic children or knowing enough about what the spectrum actually is and how to intervene in a way that is non-invasive and that is not going to turn into violent outbursts. So this is another conversation that we need to have. We need to be listening to the autism parents a lot more in terms of what it is that they truly need in terms of support, what additional resources we can give them to help them make the right decisions and informed decisions for their child, and to make sure that when we're coming in to help the family, we're not making things worse for them, because then that's complete opposite of what support is. So I am throwing that out there for people. Teachers should have proper training on how to manage an autistic child in a classroom, in a regular classroom. They also need to know how to manage supporting families of autistic children. We're talking about social workers and everybody else that is involved, even principals in the schools and people in the school districts, people that are decision makers within the schools should have proper training and knowledge of the realities of children on the spectrum so that they can make better decisions for the families. That's what I'm going to leave you with. It can be a little heavy. I hope I didn't trigger any of you, but if you are an autism parent and you have recognized some of these signs, or you could relate to some of the things that I brought up, please share it in the comments. I think that the more we speak up, the more people are going to see that it is real. That is something that we do need to address now and not in 10 years from now. And coming from you will be much more effective than just coming from me who's talking for about 20 minutes. So I'm going to leave you with that. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to whichever channel you're listening or watching from. If you want more information, you can always contact me as well. I am a real person. I will get back to you. And until next time, stay safe, stay awesome, and we'll talk soon.